Alrighty, so thank you so much for attending another Avion Tech School. I have the great pleasure of having co-founder of Sabio.la, Liliana Aide Monge, someone who I deeply, deeply admire and whose camaraderie is rare, but also refreshing. So before we go into a little bit about what we're going to be talking about, I thought it'd be interesting to talk a little bit about her background.
I lost your voice, Del. I can't hear you. Maybe you can post the questions on the chat and I can respond. This makes you want to pay for very expensive video conferencing equipment. So Sabio.la is an intensive and immersive 3-month program. We designed it. My husband and I, my co-founder Gregorio and I have worked over the past 2 years thinking about how we can diversify the world of tech. And we really wanted to create a program that would make it more inclusive and appeal to non-traditional candidates. So we don't require that people be technical before they join our program. And so they come on via part-time. They start learning some of the basic web languages like HTML, CSS. We provide assistance with that. And then once they kind of have a solid foundation, then they can go ahead and participate in the 3-month intensive coding program. And at the end of the program, you end up with a full-time position as a web developer in a great company. So we do a lot of work to help people get placed in jobs. Primarily, we train them how to code really well, but because that always helps. And then we help them review their resumes. We help them draft their resumes. We help them connect to recruiters in the area. We help them connect with employers. And then we do mock interviews. They do projects with a group, so they have a portfolio. And then we also assist and support them through hackathons. So a combination of all of these things makes people really competitive and really helps people do very well in the interview process. Currently, we have about a 90% job placement rate 3 months after you've completed the program. So if you follow our playbook, we know that our system works. So we are very dedicated to making sure that people do become employed full-time as software engineers. The opportunity is really a lucrative one. Coding jobs start at around $60,000. That's really kind of the floor here in Southern California and Los Angeles, depending on your previous experience, professional experience. We have had some people come out making $70,000. And then after that first year of being a professional software engineer, people are making somewhere between 80 to 90. And our goal really is to make sure that we support, assist, and train individuals so that all of our Sabio alumni are making at least $100,000. And so it's not only about the salary that you make, it's the fact that you can take these skills, if you learn a certain stack, you literally can use it anywhere in the world, right? Because HTML here in the United States is exactly the same as you would be writing it in London, as you would be writing it in South Africa if you had to code a page. So the opportunity is really global, and software is just eating the world, as one of the big Andreessen Horowitz founder likes to say. Software is eating the world, and so when you learn how to code, you are part of this most recent industrial revolution. So the opportunity is massive in many, many regards. So the connection, is very important. You have someone who's writing code, and ultimately they're writing it for an end user to play with and to use. So it's very important for people to understand that, and to understand that they're actually building product for humans, as opposed to, you're creating something that's kind of nebulous. The products that you're going to build when you're writing code are going to be used by your colleagues, can be used by your friends. Is something that can be downloaded, in an Apple store, an Android store here in your neighborhood or across the globe. So it's kind of a very cool thing. It means that, people really have an opportunity to have a fantastic career. It means that they are creating products that will be used by this new global economy. So it's very important to have diverse tech creators, because you have diverse consumers. You have large companies like Airbnb, like Uber, like Facebook. They're global companies. They have people across the globe, and so they need to have really diverse people creating those web products, so that they can appeal to a global audience, because we really have a global marketplace now. So we start our next group August 3rd here in Culver City in Southern California, and then we have another group September 14th, and then we have two groups that are going to be starting in November. So we have August, September 14th, and then one in the beginning of November and one at the end of November. So there's about 4 opportunities for people to join our group in 2015. So we built our program with the objective of getting more women into this field. We wanted to make sure that more Latinos and African Americans were coding. So we designed it in a way that didn't require people to have prior technical experience, because we understand that a lot of the high schools and a lot of the schools that these predominantly Latino African American communities are participating or coming out of don't have this very sophisticated computer science department. So they may not have had this type of exposure, or they don't have friends and family members in their immediate circle that are coding. So we said, you know what, let's just find a way to identify really smart and very motivated people, and let's teach them how to code. And so, we built our program thinking about that, thinking about, what is it that we could do to help women, because they come into the workforce, but then a lot of them leave. So what we do is that we provide 5 years of professional development and mentorship. So when someone comes through our program, they train, and then they start working, they get to come back once a month. And so they kind of have that home base, that foundation where if they're experiencing something at work, they can come back and regroup and then kind of go back out there. So we're trying to plug the leaky pipeline in that way. So, one of our greatest success stories, one of the people that we're, really proud of are individuals like Sara Inés Calderon. She was living in LA when we met her, and she was great. And then she decided to move to Austin because she knew there were a lot of opportunities there. And so she did, but then we had an opportunity for her to come the last quarter of 2014. She took advantage of it. She totally bootstrapped the operation. She participated in our cohort, and now she's back in Austin. She was a finalist for the Voto Latino Challenge, which is great. She competed in DC. That's really good experience. She competed at South by Southwest with a product that she had, so it's a huge success story. And now she's in Austin. She's a consultant full-time. She's writing code full-time, and she's very active participating in hackathons. And she's very active in the Austin Women Who Code chapter. She does classes there. She does talks. She's moderating panels. So she's a clear example of how, very smart, very motivated, very driven individual can learn to code and really transform their entire professional trajectory. And so it's very clear. Someone who's smart, motivated, and driven can take these skills, can learn them, and just knock it out of the ballpark, as people like to say. And there's amazing things that are going to come of this. We know that Sara's just going to do amazing things. There was also another young man, Luis Rivera, awesome guy. He came, he heard about us on the radio. He lived in Riverside. We were able to help him with some housing. He came, before he joined us, he had very insecure work, part-time work at best. And when he was working at an assembly line, installing auto body frames or something like that. And so after he did his Avion training, he's, I think, more than doubled his income. He's doing very well. Actually, he was hired, and then the CTO in his firm got replaced. The new CTO that came in gave everyone a technical exam, and he was like a part of the third of the department that's arrived, which is amazing. And so it really speaks to the caliber of our candidates and the caliber of our training. People really do well. And some people like to say oh, I don't know about boot camps. How much do you learn? How really good can you be? What's your career trajectory? We've had people who've come in, they do exceptionally well. Their bosses love them. Now they're building small startups. They're building apps. It's like the skill set that you can learn in 3 months is really, really quite profound. So, I mean, we think that, I mean, code is changing the world, right? The fact that I can log on to Airbnb and find a beautiful little studio in Paris, in Cuba, anywhere in the world is profound. It's amazing. And so all that's required for that is, you know, a good idea, and for you to sit down and you just write and you write and you write and you write code and you collaborate. There's nothing else like that, right? If I want to design a new car stereo, I don't know, anything that requires hardware, even food or a restaurant, that requires quite a lot of capital. Versus if you learn how to code, there's tons of programs like Microsoft has BizSpark that will give you like close to like $10,000 to $20,000 worth of free software. You know, you can buy a Dell laptop for about $600 and you're up and running. With those two things, you can build a company from scratch with your sweat equity. And it's something that would allow you to transact business across the globe. That is completely revolutionary. So we're really easy to find. You just go to www.sabio.la. There's a registration button up top. It's like 4 quick questions. There's some success videos so you can see what people have done. We're located in Culver City. You can come. We do workshops Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday nights from 7 to 10. So it's very easy for people to get started. Is really a unique opportunity because it's led by two very motivated, very hungry our success. So we're not like a big machine. We're not a mill. We don't have investors. So we don't have to compromise quality and service over profits. We really care about our fellows. We really want to establish long-term relationships with them, and we want to see them succeed. We want to see them get to 100 grand in salary. We want to see them launching companies. So, you know, we're different because we're kind of, as I like to say, a mom and pop tech shop. We selected the name Sabio because Sabio means wise, sage in Spanish, and so we feel that it represents the types of developers that we produce. So our web developers are very knowledgeable, very sage, very wise. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you. Have a good night.